All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about something that, let's be honest, has always been kind of dry: internal controls and risk management. But what happens when you pour rocket fuel? I'm talking about artificial intelligence all over that world. Well, you get this massive shift from mind-numbing manual work to some seriously powerful strategic insight.
And this quote from Andrew G., it just sets the stage perfectly. See, this whole conversation isn't about robots coming for your job. It's about a massive change in the tools we use. The real question for all of us isn't if we should use AI, it's how we're going to use it to get ahead of the curve.
So here's the game plan. We'll start with why this is all happening right now, the tipping point. Then we'll see a really cool, practical example of an AI-powered upgrade. But spoiler alert, it's not perfect. So we'll get real about its limits and where we, the humans, still dominate. After that, we'll zoom out and look at the new workplace, the totally new risks this creates, and we'll end with the biggest question of all. How on earth do you build trust in this stuff? Okay, first up, the AI tipping point. For decades, areas like compliance and risk have been seen as formal, manual, let's face it, kind of boring. AI is flipping that script, turning these old-school functions from dull to truly dynamic. This slide really gets to the core of it. Think about traditional compliance work, like K-SOX. It's always been this backward-looking manual grind. You're always reacting to problems. But when you bring AI into the picture, the whole game changes. You stop being reactive and you start being proactive. You go from tedious box checking to innovative automated oversight. It's a total mindset shift. Now, that all sounds great in theory, right? But what does it actually look like when the rubber meets the road? Let's check out a practical demonstration to see how this works in the real world.
Okay, so here's a super simple look at how a tool like this operates. You start by uploading your main control documents and all the evidence. The AI does a quick check, make sure everything's there, and it can actually read it. But step 3, that's where the magic happens: automated testing. And notice, it's not just the thumbs up or thumbs down. It highlights all the weird stuff, the exceptions, and serves them up for a human to review. The AI does the grunt work so the people can do the brain work.
And check this out. These aren't just made-up examples. These are actual findings from a demo. Sure, it caught simple stuff like mismatched numbers, but look closer. It flagged that an approver, this Kim Samuel, might not even have the authority to sign off based on the company's own rules. It found tiny mismatches in access rights. I mean, these are the needles in the haystack that a person could spend days searching for, if they even find them at all.
Okay, after seeing that, it's really tempting to think AI is a silver bullet that can do everything. But now we got to pump the brakes for a crucial reality check. AI is an incredibly powerful tool, for sure, but it is not a replacement for human judgment. Let's talk about why people are still absolutely essential to this process.
So where's the line between what the AI does and what the human does? Well, this chart breaks it down perfectly. The AI is a beast at the simple, repetitive stuff. The reconciliations, the basic approvals, that's about 60% of the workload. But that leaves a huge 40% chunk that requires partial or even complex human judgment. So the takeaway is simple: let the AI handle the volume so humans can handle the nuance.
And one of the biggest reasons for this is a really weird phenomenon called hallucination. It's a built-in flaw of today's AIs. See, if the data it's looking at is confusing, it won't just say, "Hey, I don't get this." Instead, it can literally make something up that sounds totally plausible but is completely wrong, and it will say it with 100% confidence. That's why having a human reviewer isn't just a good idea, it's completely non-negotiable.
And hallucinations are just one problem. You know that old saying, garbage in, garbage out? Well, with AI, it's that on steroids. If your core documents are a mess, the AI's results will be a mess. If your evidence is just a bunch of low-res screenshots pasted into a spreadsheet, the AI is going to have a bad time. And really, for this to work best, the AI needs to be plugged directly into company systems, which, as you can imagine, is a huge, complicated project.
So, given all those strengths and all those weaknesses, what does this actually mean for our day jobs? Well, that brings us to the new AX, or AI Experience Workplace. And the big idea here is a fundamental shift in our roles, from doing the task to reviewing what the AI has done.
This is the new world. Your job isn't to spend a week manually reading 100 lease contracts. Instead, the AI zips through all of them, pulls out the key info, and even drafts the accounting entries for you. Your new, more valuable job is to be the expert reviewer. You validate the output, you catch the subtle errors the AI missed, and you use all that time you saved to think bigger and make strategic calls. You're not the grinder anymore, you're the overseer. And this change is so deep, we actually need new words for it.
What we used to call a manual control is now an AI-assisted control. A simple automated control becomes an AI-based exception control because the AI can find much smarter anomalies. We're not just upgrading the tools, we're literally redefining the work itself. Of course, you know how it goes. With great power comes a whole new set of problems. As AI gets woven into the fabric of a business, it creates an entirely new class of risks that leaders now have to worry about. This quote from Geoffrey Hinton, who is basically one of the godfathers of AI, is, well, it's a lot to take in. He thinks AI could be the best thing that ever happens to us, but he also warns that the downsides could be half as big as the upsides. That is a massive, massive amount of risk to get your head around.
And this is not some future fantasy. Just let this number sink in for a second. 470%. That's the jump in top companies officially calling out AI as a major risk factor in just the last 2 years. This has gone from a science project in the R&D lab to a C-suite headache basically overnight.
So these new risks kind of fall into two buckets. First, you have amplified risks, things we've always worried about, like intellectual property theft, but now they're on steroids because of AI. Then you've got completely new risks, stuff we've never had to deal with, like hallucination or prompt injection, which is where someone tricks the AI into doing something it shouldn't.
And trying to manage all this leads to a really tough choice for companies. You can use a big commercial model for awesome performance, but you give up a lot of control over security. Or you can build everything yourself for maximum security, but you're probably not going to get that cutting-edge performance. Finding the right spot on that spectrum is now a huge strategic decision.
So all of this is leading us to create brand new rulebooks. Just like we have IT General Controls or ITGC to govern computer systems, people are now building something called AIGC, AI General Controls. It's going to be a formal framework for how we design, build, and watch over AI to make sure it's reliable, safe, and, not evil.
Which brings us to our final, and honestly, most important piece of the puzzle, building trust in all of this. This is the challenge that everything else we've talked about rests on.
And here's the most critical thing to understand. AI is not just another app. It's becoming a new foundational layer of business itself, kind of like electricity or the internet. It touches everything. Your company's strategy, how you operate day to day, your governance, what you report to the public. It's becoming part of the infrastructure.
So that leaves us with the ultimate question. The whole, wow, look what AI can do phase, that's kind of over. The real work, the hard work for every single one of us is to figure out how we build and, just as importantly, maintain trust in these incredibly powerful systems that are already starting to co-pilot our world.